What's good, people? Welcome back to the Nerd Crate, and welcome back to a new edition of 5-Minute First Looks. Try to do a little something else with my fancy microphone and normal in-ears because I want to try and fiddle a little, continue with my little Atari portfolio. I just checked the webcam program, everything is alright, which seems to be a microcosm of itself to have a normal webcam running. I don't have a Logitech or something like that. I have something that's called a COPPA Look. I don't know the exact designation. The quality is good. You see it each week on Voice of Kaon, but apparently it's a bit hard to have an external webcam program to have it all running, and also it's advertised as full HD, which apparently seems to be okay with what you see, but not in the 1920 times 1080 or 80 range. So there's that. Nevertheless, like I said, I want to talk about this for a little bit, but first I want to talk about COPPA. Just a small update. I printed out the site of the Federal Trade Commission over here and just did a few marks, and I want to read that and pretty much tell you what the update was, because last week after my video on Friday there was directly on Saturday an update, and they updated their site on COPPA because there were questions from channel owners, several channel owners, if they would be flagged on COPPA if they have any children directed content. And the thing is, what they recap here again is that companies illegally collected personal information on children, and of course were in violation of COPPA. According to the complaint, the companies collected that information from viewers of child-directed YouTube channels in the form of persistent identifiers, meaning they had essentially specifically written programs, algorithms to collect that data. So that's also the thing where we should be pretty much safe. We don't have that. We don't have specifically written programs and algorithms for that. We have very colorful things standing here where we're talking about, but that's about it. And they track users across the internet but didn't notify parents and get their consent. I don't ask anybody because I don't collect data. So, and the next thing is, to settle the case, YouTube and Google agreed to create a mechanism so that channel owners can designate when the videos they upload to YouTube are to use the words of COPPA directed to children. The purpose of this requirement is to make sure that both YouTube and channel owners are compliant with the law. A provision of the settlement has raised questions among content creators, of course, and they said, or they asked, if they would be held liable to that. But the COPPA rule defines personal information to include obvious things like child's first and last name or home address, but that's not all. That's a very important thing. And the thing is also that under COPPA, which is also very important, there's no one size fits all. That's the case. They can't say everything applies to everything. And on the paragraph before, they say how COPPA applies to channel owners. So how does COPPA apply to channel owners who upload their content to YouTube or another third-party platform? COPPA applies in the same way it would if the channel owner had its own website or app. But they also say here, to be clear, your content isn't considered directed to children just because some children may see it. However, if your intended audience is kids under 13, you're covered by COPPA and have to honor the rules requirements. And then we have the list that was already shown here. I will put the link down below. You can read it all yourself, just so you see I have the actual file here. So maybe for the guys that thought last week was a little bit wishy-washy, I wanted to have the actual thing and just show you. So we have the subject matter, visual content, use of animated characters or child-oriented activities and incentives, the kind of music or other content, the age of models, the presence of child celebrities who appeal to children, language or other characteristics of the site, whether advertising that promotes or appears on the site is directed to children, and competent and reliable empirical evidence about the age of the audience. The determination is whether content is child-directed will be clearer in some contexts than in others, but we can share some general rules of thumb. First, unless you affirmatively target kids, there are many subject matter categories where you don't have to worry about COPPA. For example, if your videos are about traditional adult activities like employment, finances, politics, home ownership, etc., of course, then not. On the other hand, if your content includes traditional children's pastimes or activities, it may be child-directed. Only may is another thing. Very interesting, here's an actual example. The FTC recently determined that an online dress-up game was child-directed. Whatever that means. Little link would have helped, I guess. The very important point, and which essentially says we are out of the game, means second, just because your video has bright colors or animated characters doesn't mean you're automatically covered by COPPA. Where many animated shows are directed to kids, the FTC recognizes there can be animated programming that appeals to everyone. So it will all be revealed, let's say it like that, on December 10th. And of course there's also the question over penalties again. The aforementioned $42,530 per violation, but they also take into consideration what you may have made in terms of money for that. So that's pretty much it. Just a small update. Of course there's still all that clickbait and terror and fear-mongering stuff. It's all over and stuff like that, but that's your COPPA update directly from the pages. And like I said, if you want to read up yourself, which I would recommend, link down below. Next piece, my tinkering streams. I wanted to show a stream finishing this off quite a while ago, but the thing is, the next updates are just too small. I want to have an actual plug in here where this plug actually goes in. Same method as with this. It's just too small. Even with a full HD cam, I can't quite capture that, which would be super boring to you guys. So I'm not doing that. I will finish the Polaroid, I believe, somewhat for Christmas, and then I will show you in a video, and I comprised photos and everything, and then you will see what I would do, and I will show you how good or bad it actually turned out, and also how it works with John Connor. On the other hand, a little long already, way over the 5 minutes. On the other hand, I came up with a little idea. I want to think of something new. I have an idea for a base system, and I want to show you how I will do it. My rough plan is to cut up styrofoam plates, not the actual styrofoam like the insulation types that's usually used for insulation. And I got an idea where I want to cut lines in there with a Dremel, looking at having a little Summertronian and a few plates I will throw in there, having a little few blast effects and stuff like that. And then the interesting part, what I try and want to do, and why I have an epoxy or resin starter kit in my shopping cart on Amazon, is actually I want to try and have a little canal in those plates, and then have an LED strip in there, a little small LED strip. And then I would try and color the epoxy in purple or pink like Energon and pour it over there. I need to make haste with caution because this stuff is curing or hardening and develops quite some temperature. So I need to see what I can do about that, but I want to try it. It's a material I wanted to try in such a long time. So yeah, there's that. I will now get to editing the short bit, and then I will try and finish or get to this little guy, and then I will see you Saturday on a new review, because on Sunday I'm at a little flea market, Xmas flea market in my town over here. Let's see if I can find something cool, and if so, you will know it first. And a little something else is coming in, rock boxes, Realm of Collectors, very happy for that, looking forward to it. Dan's one is coming in too, you will get a video for that. So quite a bit coming, I hope you enjoy. Tomorrow's Friday, enjoy your day, have a good way into the weekend, see you Saturday, take care.